طريقة حفظ القرآن, when it comes to the method of memorizing the Qur'an, as I said, when we say memorization of the Qur'an, is two things we're trying to look for. Sari'ul hifz, fast in memorization, sur'atul hifz, and itqan. We want to get those two together, inshallah ta'ala. So as fast as the person can memorize and also have it strong, there are basically few things that a person needs to observe. The first thing we have to keep in mind is that the Qur'an is divided into two when it comes to memorization. Ayat which are known as ayat mutashabiha. Ayat that are look-alike. Those are tricky. And ayat which are not mutashabih. They don't resemble one another. A person who memorizes the Qur'an, what tricks him a lot and catches him off guard is the ayat which are mutashabiha. I think that could be another discussion in another time how to do it. There's a lot of people who've now started to buy books that have all of those ayat mutashabih and they try to memorize it from it. I'm anti that. I'm not for that. I like the ayat mutashabih to be learned from the Qur'an yourself. You start picking up those ayat mutashabih. So you're reading Surah Al-Qasas and you see the story of Musa alayhi salam be mentioned here. It's similar to Surah Al-Taha وهكذا. Surah Al-Sad is mentioning the story of Iblis. And then Surah Al-A'raf is also mentioning the story of Adam and Iblis, and Surah Al-Baqarah is also mentioning it, and so then it resembles one another. I like to see it myself, and I pick up the differences. I think that's but like in one time, being given the entire ayat mutashabiha, ayat that look alike, and you're told to memorize it as a list, it doesn't last long, but again, it changes from one person to another. So, these are the steps I took with my kids when it came to the method of memorizing the Qur'an. Each ayah, I made them read it 20 times. So for example, the child reads, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. He reads it 20 times looking at the Mus'haf. Now when he reads it 20 times looking at it from the Mus'haf, I put my hand on it and I say, hey, you're reading now from memory. So my son or my daughter, she reads it from memory 20 times. And then I now say, okay, let's move on to the next ayah. Look at the ayah again, read it 20 times from the Mus'haf. Let me hear it 20 times. And then I tell them, I put my hand on it and I say, read it 20 times from memory. If it happens within those 20 times, if they do one time mistake, we have to read it again from looking 20 times. I need 20 pure, no mistakes. If they do one time mistake, we go back again from looking. Now, when they do two ayahs, so Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, those are two verses, 20 times, 20 times. So it's 40. I put my hand on it both and I say, I need you to read those two verses together now. Okay, and they read it together, and that's how we carry on connecting all the verses together. If it happens that whatever verse they get wrong, we put our hand on it again and we say read it 20 times. Because when it comes to memorizing, there's two things that happen. You know the verse, but you forget the verse after it. So its connection is also important. That's why I keep bringing it back to the previous one. And I keep bringing it back to the previous one. And I keep bringing it back to the previous one. So there's a connection between the ayat. Some people, what they do is they memorize this verse, and they move it to the next 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 verse. And what happens is they can't connect the verses. They know each verse by itself, but they're not connecting it. So I need it to be connected. Another thing I focus highly on, and it's one of the things you can trick a person who's a hafiz, is the ending of an ayah from a safha to the other page that it connects with. A lot of people get confused here. Again, it comes to the issue of what? Connecting. And this, I make sure my children don't do that mistake, because we make sure that we spend a lot of time with the last verse on the page to the verse that's starting on the other page. Now, this is very important in a matter I mentioned before, which is do not change the copies of your mushaf. If you do, some of the mushafs are different with ayah starts in the page. And that's not what you want for the child. You don't want tashattut to happen to the child.